Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler. On this ninth day of October, we got a lot of baseball on. And I want to get the Mad New Yorkers' opinion to that. We'll skip our break. I got a late start. Um, got behind here early on this afternoon and still trying to play catch up. So um, we'll go ahead and bring the Mad New Yorker in right now. What's going on there, Chief?
Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Thanks for having me on, bro.
All right. Um, so what happened to the Yankees, man? They get put out. What's your take on them, man? Got beat by the
Well,
Blue Jays.
yeah, it was a tough day in New York after this whole loss last night. You know, just the bats didn't come through at the end. The pitching didn't hold up, and the better team won, right? The Blue Jays came out smacking them the first two games, and then
Yeah,
they did good trying to come back and win a game, and then it just wasn't enough. Wasn't enough depth to go in and get things going, to the next round. So, um, you know, when the season started, I had the Yankees and the Mets both going into the playoffs, and
yeah,
I, I didn't think that the Yankees were going to go to World Series. I did mention that the youth was important for the youth to step up and the guys that they kept around to get more experience. And it wasn't it wasn't the young guys that didn't come through. It was a little bit combination of everybody there that the bats just kind of dwindled down as the longer that they got into the game for the Yankees, and the Blue Jays just did a better job uh pitching. They did a better job fielding, and they got into the minds of the Yankees that they were not able to come back. So, and I think the Mets and the Yankees have to learn one thing is like it's okay if your team's good at coming back, getting back into games or a series or what have you, but you can't play like that. You can't play hoping and thinking that because your roster's deep enough and hidden that you're gonna be able to come back from every game. I mean, you can't go into games doing that. And I think I feel like maybe there were players that had that mentality where like, well, we're good enough to come back, so we'll be all right. And you do have to have a comeback mentality, but you need to be out there and
yeah,
beating people up. So and it's hard to do in baseball. It's hard to get leads and stay in front of them because baseball is a different. I feel like it's a different game than other sports that we watch. But in a sense of trying to catch a run and things like that. But you know uh it just wasn't enough for the Mets to even get in the playoffs, and not enough for the Yankees to be in the playoffs and go further. So, uh, you know, just
Do you
waiting for the.
think since Cashman, it seems like the Steinbrenners will not hold him accountable for this. I mean, he's the guy that brings in the players. They've had problems pitching for a while. I know that their Cole was out, and that was a really it's a great accomplishment to make the playoffs without your ace, but it seems like their bullpen has just been horrible for a while, and they won't. It's like he's not being held accountable. I know George would have probably did something at this point. Do you think this is kind of like the new norm that the kids are kind of resting on their laurels a little bit?
I think it's hard to say because if they wanted to, they could have got rid of Cashman and Boone before the season started. It's a different generation, a different mentality from the Steinbrenners, and I think it's more about uh what can we do for the player instead of what the player's done for us lately. And I say that in a sense where I'm not saying that every player is not doing their job, but you you know the manager and the owners, they're not out there playing the game,
Yeah,
and when the bats go quiet and you're a hitter or you're supposed to be hitting 270 max and you're batting 120, 110, you know I don't. How do you manage that? How do you switch that up? How do you get rid of that on your team and change the motivation and change the outlook? You know the I'm me as for example, I'm the owner. I tell the GM get what we need. They got somewhat of what they had to put the pieces together and try to get to the next level, but it just wasn't enough. And how do you fault the ownership and the management and the GM and the manager for doing what they're not on the field playing, man? So
Right.
there's moves they could have made. I'm sure they could have made a couple more moves. But again, they're once they get some of these players locked into contracts, it's hard for them to pick up better players to replace them, right? So you can only do so much, but the players on the field got to play the game, man. They got to and they got to win games. You got to win. That's just the name of the game.
Yeah, that grit's not there, and the team is not bad enough for the fans to totally revolt. I can understand that. Let's see. So, what are your thoughts about? Oh man, we'll get to that other deal. You know what? I'll go ahead and jump to that Mark Sanchez thing. You were sending me a lot of text on that the other night. Do you want to share your theory with the audience? It would be great for sports talk here. Uh, if you don't want to share that theory, just tell me what you think. The guys close to our age, we're 43, 44 ish. He's 38 years old. You know, there's uh, arrested for public intox and all that stuff. It's a lot of evidence there was alcohol involved per se, but doing wind sprints in the parking lot at that hour and telling a guy to move a truck and just a bizarre behavior. I said the other day, it kind of thinks makes me think maybe there was something else involved there. Maybe he was drinking alcohol and some kind of medication. Maybe he missed some kind of painkiller. Maybe he tried some synthetic marijuana. Remember Chandler Jones for the Patriots a few years ago had some synthetic marijuana and walked up into a police station, paranoid, acting erratic, getting on his knees and just putting his hands behind his head, really, really acting wild and really bizarre behavior, super paranoid. Do you think if there was any kind of mixture like that, or you think maybe this guy's got a real bad drinking problem? What do you think happened right there? Or do you think there's some kind of wild conspiracy where he's totally set up? That's what I was getting from those texts the other night, which would be that would be rich. I'd listen to anything you got to say on this.
Well, it's just a like you said, like one of those stories that are just out of the blue. You're not expecting to hear from, like from the NFL about a former player slash somebody who's an NFL Fox analyst, and then it's look, it's sad. First of all and foremost, it's sad. I pray for both parties at this point in juncture. He got Mark Sanchez got stabbed, and then he stabbed somebody else. So I hope for their health, both of them. And it's just a bizarre situation. Um, but saying that, and then reading and getting more information, former players are saying that he had problems with alcohol, and he's always been
Okay.
egocentric. I'm like, okay, I understand that, but he was on the
So
work.
former players are saying that. You're hearing that as well?
Well, I'm not hearing it. I've read it in a few articles, and they're
Okay.
also talking about an NPR news about a former uh, teammate said something like
From
that as well.
USC or the Jets or both?
In college, and then also a couple players and a few players in the NFL.
Okay.
They didn't name the team or the player, but so but trying to piece it all together, it's just something very odd to hear. And my conspiracy theory was that I just sounds like something and from the underworld, right? Like something like people who get stabbed are usually like degenerates and and guys that are like owe people money and stuff. So what I was saying and what I was the first thing that came to my mind was like, you know, how how is it somebody who like the details of his contract were never revealed, and there's ideas about the fact that his contract is almost higher than someone who's had more experience than him, being an analyst at Fox.
Okay.
So man, I just started thinking maybe this could be something that they're coming up with a way of trying to get rid of him just to not to pay him because not for nothing. This is not just Fox, but there are media outlets. There's situations in the past where crazy stories about former athletes or actors and actresses coming up with the craziest incidents
Yeah.
just to get these people to not be able to pay them anymore, like to fire them and get rid of them. And it just sounds like a Fox thing. It sounds like something that unfortunately in the past with Fox personnel, something like this could be related to being involved with Fox. Now I
Yeah.
don't have nothing against Fox. I have nothing against Fox.
Yeah.
I have nothing against
So
the
what do you
media.
say? What do you think happened? You think somebody spiked his drink and somebody paid the driver to show up there at that time? I mean, what do you think actually happened then?
Yeah, I mean, like, look, this when I was talking to you about it, we didn't get a lot of information. We just heard that he got stabbed, right?
Yeah,
So now, the more and more I read, and I'm finding out information,
he
and
was the aggressor. Yeah,
yeah, and getting these video feeds and all that, like I still won't ever know what happened. Most people won't know what happened. Just the
supposedly
people
that
that
video is supposed to come out here shortly.
right. And so my thing is this: from what I was reading is if he was intoxicated doing wind sprints on a night in the middle of the night where he's supposed to be like getting ready for an event the next day. Like that just doesn't sound like something anybody would do anyways. But he was doing it. The guy who was 69, he was like what, 64?
69 years old, he was delivering cooking oil to
Right.
the your light go out or something, Chief.
Yeah, man, my light
That's
just
got to be Fox in there trying to keep you from talking
oh
there.
man, they coming after me. No, but no, but also what I read about this guy who was the owner of the truck driver, was that he was removing grease from a restaurant, but he was also partially hard of hearing, like partially deaf.
Yes,
So I
so he
read that
couldn't
now.
even hear. Not that Sanchez is. You want to turn that light on? Let me cut to a break because I got to do something real quick. I got to cut one of my lights out too.
No, I'm probably gonna get stuck with this light for a
Oh,
minute,
okay.
but
All
let
right.
me let me get
There you go.
yeah
So you think? What do you think? What's this conspiracy theory? All right, go ahead with it then. Or are
yeah
you
so
saying that's what you thought initially? Now that the information's come out, it don't seem like a crazy.
yeah, it's just now things are starting to come together. Just like maybe it's a little far fetched, but even if that's far fetched, I mean, you're talking about a guy who got married a couple years ago, just had twins in March. Your responsibility level as you mature and have kids, your mindset changes. You do different things in your life to not only to better yourself, but because now you're responsible for other people, other human beings aside from your partner. So it just seems so just a crazy situation that's happened. And like I'm not team Sanchez and I'm not team truck driver. I just kind of like everybody else. I want to know the full story. I want to know what happened. And like if it was something that he was the aggressor, then yeah, he has to pay the, if you do the crime, got to pay the time. And it's just sad because it's such a crazy.
What do you think triggered that behavior? Judging from what you saw.
Again, I mean, I don't like it's not a Mark Sanchez got drunk again, DUI. Like it's not a something that has been repetitively in his lifestyle as far as some being in trouble or, having any former um allegations thrown against him except for like, maybe an
That's why I
allegation
think maybe he may have tried something that he's never done before. You
or yeah.
know,
So and that was another thing. At the end of a lot of his reports states that he doesn't remember what happened.
yeah,
I
as
like,
if maybe he had. And here's my thing: I don't know if he doesn't want to use a medication excuse. he doesn't want to use a synthetic marijuana excuse because then that could go against the Fox drug policy, perhaps. So he's kind
Interesting.
of backed into a corner. But this just sounds like there's something more than just alcohol. Now, Aqib Talib, former cornerback for the NFL cornerback, used to call games. I don't know if you know who Aqib Talib is.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, his brother got arrested a couple of years ago, I want to say, for shooting a guy at a Pee Wee football game
yep,
that he
that's
was
right.
at, and immediately there was some indications that maybe he triggered that fight that caused the commotion that caused the guy to get shot by his brother, and he quit calling games. Okay, but I'm telling the audience this and getting everybody up to date. He said on the Skip Bayless show that when he was calling games, um, he says you get there Thursday, after you get there and meet up with the team, then you got all that time left between Thursday night and Sunday morning, and there's nothing to do. You just go to the bar and drink. And I'm like, he says that one time he got sued for $100,000 for punching out a cab driver. Well, he says the way he talked about it made a lot of sense. I guess if you're an alcoholic, that makes sense. But I should have downloaded that clip for you. But he made it seem like he's like, I can understand how he knows he didn't do that. So maybe he did get that hammer, you know? But like you said, I never really heard of him getting in any trouble like that per se. And
Right.
being in a media market like New York, somebody would have found out during his Jets days if he
Right.
would have had a really bad problem, don't you think?
Yeah, and on top of that, these media outlets, they're very they do their homework. It's very rare they hire guys that have a past because they don't want to hear about it, about them having issues.
Right.
Even when Chris Carter had an issue, they were like, okay, well, we know you had substance abuse problems in the past,
Yeah,
and then
that's
you're
true.
and,
That's
and
true.
you're and you got your one opportunity and you're gone. As much as you're a good player and people like what you say, we can't have you at this media outlet, and they got rid of him. And this is a Hall of Fame wide receiver, granted, and very well spoken. To be honest with you, he was one of the better commentators that I listened to, and followed for football. And it just, his past caught up with him because he got into another situation, and that's just an example. But I'm not Team Sanchez, and I'm not for the guy in the box truck. I just for the truth. When the truth comes out, if it was a crime he committed, and you got to pay the time. And I mean,
Well, he's not going to call the game this weekend. I've read that already. They're still trying to figure everything out. I mean, I like listening to the guy personally. I
right.
liked him. I hope that if he does got an issue, he can get it resolved. And I don't want to see anybody get fired, but they're probably going to have to pay out a lawsuit, which the guy's already filed one. Like Adam Carolla said the other day, the comedian, he said the best person that came out the best is this guy's wife. They're probably going to get a massive lawsuit from this. He's 69 years old, delivering cooking oil at midnight on a Friday night. You kind of feel bad for him already, right?
Yeah, and then another
Should
thing
be
is,
at home in bed at that hour.
and his age, like he should, like I know people have to work longer now in their life to enjoy it, but I mean, he's 69 years old and hard of hearing. You shouldn't be out at night past 10, bro.
You
You know what
feel
I'm saying?
bad for him. He probably just
Yeah,
needed the money.
right. It's just like everybody has different situation, and it's just like and Mark Sanchez, like, what are you doing wind sprints in the middle of the night after you, like what are you doing? Like you just had two twin daughters, like you just got married.
Maybe that pressure got to him, and maybe he may have been drinking. You just never know. You
It's
never know.
just it's wild. It's just like it was enough to get me sidetracked because I we can go over the scores and what happened this week anyway. So
Yeah. Well, I thought he was going to die for a while when I first read about that Saturday afternoon. I thought, man, I thought he may have got mugged or something, and said he was in a hospital with critical condition. But it is what it is, man. let's do a quick recap here, Chief. Seattle, Jackson. Nope, that's for this week. Seattle, Tampa. I told you I thought about taking Tampa all week, man. But Tampa, with their injuries and stuff, playing up in Seattle like that, but the thing about it is Seattle's had their injuries on the secondary, and you could see it paying off. 38 points unanswered. Seattle comes up with the big win there, or their Tampa does on the road. What's your thoughts about that game, man?
Yeah, we both spoke up and said that
Both
we're
went
we're gonna.
Seattle. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a
we both
common
want.
sense thing to take Seattle in that situation, right?
Yeah, and the weather ended up working for both teams. It wasn't really crazy, and they got a good day of football there, and
You gonna be all right, man.
yeah, I'm just
Halloween
like,
already.
and then like I'm just. So I was surprised that they went out there. Both teams went out there competitive. Both those
Yeah,
defense were rocking. Both the offense got synced at different times. They did well, and it was a good game, man. And um, listen, the better team won. I guess the team that played the best won, and uh, Seattle had the opportunity to win that game, and they
yeah,
just let
they blew it.
yeah, they let it go. So, kudos to Baker and the offense over there, and it's still my dark horse, man, and they're gonna go
Well,
far, I
they
think.
may do something this year. He's a borderline MVP candidate. Up in London earlier, Minnesota beats Cleveland. Though I will say this, um, God, I started to say Jackson Dart. What's that guy? Dylan Gabriel had a pretty good game. Minnesota just a little bit better. Defense played pretty well, made some plays, did not make the mistakes. Cleveland couldn't quite get home as much as I thought they would. Of course, I thought Minnesota would win that game. What's your thoughts on that? And then all of a sudden, they turn around and trade Joe Flacco to Cincinnati. So, what's your thoughts on the game at first, then give your thoughts about Joe Flacco now going to Cincinnati?
Yeah, that was a crazy. It's been a crazy. I'm trying to fix the light here, man. That was a crazy turn of events there. If you're a Cleveland fan, you're just shaking your
The
head like,
circus up there, man.
and they just traded some cornerbacks as well, like a few hours ago. I'm not sure if you
Okay.
heard about that. So it's just it's bananas. They're trying to figure it out in Cleveland. I felt like Cleveland was gonna win that game. And they as well. They didn't finish strong. Um Minnesota came up and play, and played some defense, and it was enough to get them by, and because I had Cleveland for that game, and I thought that they were going to put
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel out there, and he had to show out why he was a backup. So
Yeah, it puts me up four. I know that was kind of a lame game, but I just thought that the storyline was behind Gabriel. Now, do you think Shador Sanders will play at any point this year? I'm pretty sure he is. Even uh,
yeah, I mean, with Joe Flacco gone to the Bengals, um,
nevertheless, what's his name Stefanski says about he's not going to be number two or not. I think he's going to play at some point.
yeah, and it just like on paper, I think that's like 8 quarterbacks that Cleveland's paying this year.
Yeah, I saw that. I
And
saw
I'm
that
like,
too.
what? That's crazy because they had four, now they only got three. Pickett,
Just the way the
uh,
cap is written out. Yeah, I
yeah,
read that same
Shador,
thing.
yeah, Shador, and
Kenny Pickett. I mean, it's a cluster of guys.
oof,
Deshaun Watson.
yeah, yeah,
So
this,
interesting storyline. Yeah, and as far as Jackson or Cincinnati goes, I mean, their season's hanging on by threads, man. You know,
yeah.
you think Zach Taylor survives this year, the head coach?
Well, he's been on a hot seat for the last 3 seasons, like, and it's always been determined. It's always been like a Joe Burrow situation, right? Joe Burrow is hurt. Joe Burrow comes back. Joe Burrow gets hurt. Joe Burrow comes back. Joe Burrow's not 100%. They don't get into the playoffs. New season, Joe Burrow's ready. Joe Burrow gets hurt. So you're Taylor and you're depending on this guy. the biggest problem was that the GM didn't get him a backup. If you knew
Yeah,
for 2 seasons your guy wasn't going to be there 100%, at least have a formable backup. So
yeah.
and they don't, and this situation is not going to make it better. I mean, so um, good luck for Joe Flacco. Like he's on his way
He's
to
played in
Cincinnati.
almost every team in that division now.
Yeah,
Played for Cincinnati, Cleveland, Baltimore. Now, if the Steelers pick him up at some point, he'd have the whole North covered.
I
The
saw
journeyman.
I saw a gif of him wearing rainbow jerseys, like every color. He's worn every color of the
Man,
rainbow.
who did you?
So
Who did the Jets get? Did the Jets trade for a cornerback?
no, the Jets didn't.
Cleveland. I know Jacksonville did.
Yeah, Jacksonville traded to Cleveland.
Jacksonville traded to Cleveland. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. Denver, Philadelphia. You got this one. So I'm up 4 now. I was going to be up 6, but uh, Denver did beat Philadelphia. What's your thoughts about that?
Look, I'm not a
It's a big win there for Bo Nix and a big confidence builder for that team.
and I'm not a big Bo Nix fan, as we make fun of him and his age and all that, but he's doing his thing. His confidence is and his fortitude is getting people excited about being in the offense with him. Very relentless. And that's what you got to do, man. If you lack in certain parts of a superior game, and you just got to play your part, and you got to do your job, and you got to be able to make sure that everybody's following in step, and he's doing a good job over there in Denver, and the coaching staff's got him giving him confidence, and extending the playbook, not just playing you know pitch and catch over there. They got a sophisticated program going up there, which is good for Bo Nix, because it allows him to use his tools, right? So and then he's like a playmaking. He has a little bit of playmaking ability as well. So this is just a situation that he fell into, that with that coach is going to help him. And they played a good game against the Eagles. The Eagles didn't run the ball, so they threw the ball like 40 plus times with the quarterback over there, and just put him in positions to not be successful. You got to run the ball. I'm not sure why they're holding out on Barkley. I'm not. Maybe he's a little bit tired. Maybe they're just trying to give him enough for the rest of the season to have juice and go. But it's time to give him the ball. You got to give him 20 carries plus. If not, you don't have a formidable like attack on offense. You need him to be involved, and that doesn't mean you don't throw the ball. It just means that he has to be the beginning and he has to be the end of that offense. If not, then why do you have him? You have a number 5 running back, one of the top 5 running backs in the league, and right now him and his backup running back have almost the same amount of yards in 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I told
Crazy.
you. I think it's looking more and more like, and they play the Giants tonight. Maybe they'll win tonight, even though it's at New York. I think they'll win tonight.
No, I don't
Uh,
think so.
it looks like the Eagles team of 2 years ago, rather than the Eagles team of last year that won the Super Bowl.
Right, right, right.
This
Yeah.
guy's not getting it done from an offensive coordinator. You're going to have disgruntled running back. You're going to have disgruntled wide receiver, more wide receiver than A.J. Brown. But if they don't run the ball, this team is not going to get pretty far at all in the
No,
playoffs.
and
You know?
you should give Barkley the ball. This is his former team. He knows the field. He's from
Oh,
that
tonight,
area.
yeah.
Like, give him the ball.
The heat will really come up on Philly if the Giants win this game tonight. Um, I'm sure the Giants will find a way to lose it, but you know that would be interesting to see how that works out. That's going to be an interesting storyline, just to see a potential blow up there out in Philadelphia. Um, Listen, I said this at the beginning of the week, man, with the monologue. There was big upsets. I mean, Jacksonville upset, uh, Kansas City, Denver upset, Philly. Tennessee was like an 8-point underdog. They upset in a bonkers bloopers game against
Oh, jeez.
Arizona. I think it's good to have some of these upsets, even though if it hurts my picks, it keeps the game interesting. You don't want the game to be too predictable. I mean,
Right.
they were up 14-0, and I was watching I found myself watching Hateful Eight, the movie with Samuel L. Jackson, the Quentin Tarantino movie. It came out about 10 years ago. I never got a chance to see it. Kind of a typical Quentin Tarantino movie, but it was pretty good. Uh, I thought Kansas City got a lot of young players there on defense. Got very complacent there, uh, and messed around, won that game. But I do like this Liam Cohen guy, this head coach here with Jacksonville. He's putting the fire in the gut that was lacking from Doug Peterson. What's your thoughts about that game on Monday night?
Yeah, that was a well coached game by the
Yeah,
Jags side, on defense and on offense. And listen, like we talked about it last week, this has to be a game where this kid Lawrence comes out and takes it over. Because if not, what people are going to start talking about, why they pick this guy, why they paying him, and he went out, showed out, he played out on his birthday. Kudos to him.
26 years old.
He
Yeah,
ran he
yeah,
ran
he
two
did
touch
well,
ran
man.
two touchdowns, threw a couple touchdowns. This kid was on fire. He was in fuego. He looked like sweet baby Jesus coming down the field. I was like, thank God that
Lamar
this.
Arrington nicknamed him Jesus.
Yeah, I just
Football
I
Jesus.
I'm so glad for the kid, man. To be honest with you, because I touted, we talked about him as he came in highly touted, and I was always like,
Very
well, he's.
highly touted.
Yeah, and I was like, he's in, Peterson's a terrible coach. I would talk bad about, these coaches. I'm like, he needs to be in a better system. I said all these things, and people are like, nah, man,
Peter's
he sucks. He
teams are
stinks.
often sluggish. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, he doesn't. He just don't. Again, Peterson, some of these coaches, they have these playbooks that they want these guys to play every single word for word, dot for dot, diagram for diagram, and they don't allow these guys to be human, to be their athletic selves, to be their football minded selves, and they get caught up, and you have this kind of crappy football from these guys, and now a coach comes in and is like, listen, just go out there and play football, go out there, have fun, and I'll make sure that we don't
Yeah.
I'll make sure to keep you in line, but you just go out there now. Lawrence made a few mistakes. I'm not gonna say I can't sit here and be like he played a perfect
Yeah. He
game.
had
No,
a turnover
yeah,
himself in that game.
yeah, he
And he
but
fell down. They should have got him on that last play, but Chris
I,
Jones was loafing out there, you
no,
know?
but another thing is that he didn't give up, right? When
No.
and he didn't play every he played every down for what it was worth. He didn't look back at making an throwing an interception, having not throwing where he's supposed to throw. So he did good for him. And Hunter made an incredible catch for
Big,
one
big
of
catch
the
for Hunter
made a big
across the
catch
middle.
and helped him. So these two young guys, man, they're gonna go far if and only if the offensive coordinator doesn't put these guys in the box. When you put them in the box and you want them to play pages 1 through 10, that's it. You ruin football for these kids, man. Let these kids play. Let them run. Let them
Well, I
run.
like that throw he made to Brian Thomas
Yeah.
down the sideline in that last drive. It was very Eli Manning to Mario Manningham type of throw there. It was a big throw there. That was a big win. Probably one of the biggest wins of regular season wins of his career. They were 0-8 against Kansas City. He's never beat Trevor Lawrence or Patrick
Mahomes.
Mahomes.
Right,
That
right.
was a big one. The flip side, Kansas City knew they gave that game away,
Yeah.
and now that they got to get back to the drawing board, and that's a good transition there going into this game here. They play. We'll start off with that one if you want to. They play Detroit on Sunday night at home in Arrowhead Stadium. Folks, we'll start our picking the top 5 NFL games this week. I'll use this for editing purposes, so I'll know when to cut it because a lot of the audiences like it. Um, to that game, I think that Kansas City will bounce back per
Nice.
se. And I'm a big Detroit guy. I love Detroit. I want to get on here on Monday and I want to play Dan Campbell's post game speech, but the secondary is pretty banged up for Detroit. Kirby Joseph hasn't practiced all week. Arnold is going to be out for a little while. So you got cornerback issues. The
Mhm.
Chiefs' backs are against the wall. Taylor Decker didn't practice today. That's their left tackle there for Detroit. They've had problems, they be in Kansas City, with these mobile quarterbacks. We saw it in the Jacksonville. We saw it in the Charger game. but Jared Goff is not that mobile. I think this will be and Chiefs are pretty healthy this week, even though it's on the short week. I like Chiefs in Arrowhead 27-24. This will be a great game, though. Those 50-50 calls will go the other way. They'll probably go against Detroit. I like the Chiefs to rebound against the Lions 27-24. How do you see that game playing out?
Yeah, man, you hit all the high points, all the highlights. I think the Lions be lying about who they really are. Um, they can't ever they can't ever get it together as far as like in a sense where I feel like the toughness, the mentality that they need to keep moving on. Um, they're very predictable right now. And I'm with you. I think that the Lions lose this one in Arrowhead, and I think the Kansas City Chiefs will win 32-27.
32-27. Okay. Moving right along. Moving on down the road. We'll go back to Sunday afternoon here. Seattle will play Jacksonville. Seattle coming off that very rough loss there to Tampa at home. Jacksonville, big emotional win. I wanted to take Seattle thinking this would be a letdown game for Jacksonville coming off that big win. But looking at Seattle, most of their secondaries also questionable. Well, we saw what they looked like last week. They got roasted 160 something yards. But this guy's probably going to win Rookie of the Year. This is Buka, that wide receiver. This Brian Thomas, I just mentioned him. And of course, like you said, running very good routes here. Travis Hunter. I love me some Travis Hunter played about 80 snaps this past week. And I got a sense that this is an early start time, 1 Eastern start time. Seattle going all the way down that humidity down in Jacksonville. Love me some Trevor Etienne in this game. 30-24. Jacksonville will win a wild one at home. What are your thoughts about that game?
Yeah, that game is going to be close as well. Seattle
Yeah.
needs they know that they let one slip away. They'll be in Florida and they won't be playing Tampa Bay again, but they'll be in Florida and uh they're going to be in better weather. So I'm sure they're going to try to take advantage of that situation. I see it on the flip. I see Seattle beating Jacksonville 27-24. I as much as I like what Jacksonville is doing. Um, they're right now they're not in the best conference and to make them
No.
compete even better. The two best teams in that conference are Indianapolis and Jacksonville, which I have no trust in to stay in the top
Yeah.
to stay as top five teams. And so keep doing a good job building off the wins. But this one is not going to be a win. You're going to go against a defense that's kind of hurting, but they're not bleeding yet, and they're going to find out what it's like to face a tougher team from another division. So I feel like Seattle's
Yeah.
going to win this one.
Well, the last time they went on the road like this in an early start time, they played well and they beat Pittsburgh. So um, that was a good one right there. Let's see. Let's go to San Francisco
Oh, geez, this team.
against Tampa. 49ers won this game. They played last year at Tampa. It's a tight game,
Mm.
23-20 last year. But likely Mac Jones is going to get the start again. 49ers have a little bit of extra rest here. But, man, I'm looking at that injury sheet there. They might get Jawan Jennings back at wide receiver. Everybody else looks pretty banged up for the 49ers, but the 49ers really well coached. My biggest issue with them is Nick Bosa, that little bit of lack of pass rush. We know that Baker Mayfield can get rid of the ball quickly. He didn't have his starting left tackle the first two games, and they got two road wins, you know? So I think the 49ers will keep this interesting because Tampa's got some cornerback issues as well. And I like how fast that Mac Jones gets rid of the football, like 2.5 seconds in that nature. But all that being said, I like Tampa Bay 31-24. This will be a good game. We're in for a big weekend. Tampa Bay will go to 6-1. What's
Mm.
your thoughts about that game?
Tampa without Tom Brady is going to be hot and heavy. that defense is getting on rhythm. Like it's they're getting to the middle of the season now. They're getting all revved up. They have injuries here and there. What team doesn't? But these guys are playing for their coach. They're playing for each other. They're resilient. They don't give up. And this is going to be a game where I feel like Tampa's going to come out top. Just for the mere reason that they're going to stay on this roll. And that's a tough team. I don't think anybody wants to play this team. And I think you hit it when you said it. The MVP caliber season that Baker's having.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah, I
when
got
he
to give
gets
credit
hot,
where it's due. He's playing really well. He's getting rid of the ball quickly.
and when he gets hot, man, he doesn't. He's less likely to lose the ball. Like he'll throw it away, we're good with that. He'll run and slide, we're good with that. Just don't fumble and don't throw interceptions. And he's been doing that. He's been smart with the
Yeah.
ball, and that's very important. Now he got two grade A tight ends that are helping him, in Ingram and in Otten. So he's got
Well,
tools.
I love that Kate Otten, but
You
he's a
know,
great fantasy player.
yeah,
You
he
know?
he's got tools there to keep him always making the third, your third and short. You got
Yeah.
two tight ends there that can catch the ball, and Baker with these tight ends, he can kind of throw it anywhere, so he doesn't have to be super accurate. Now, flip side, San Francisco, which your guy, as much as he throws the ball quick, he's not accurate, and that was one of the reasons the Patriots had to let him go. His accuracy hurt a little bit. Down, after 20
Yeah.
yards, you didn't
But
see
I
just
think he's perfect for this system, though. He's undefeated
no.
as a starter.
But how many times this coach is so good at making a quarterback like him look great in the system, but when the pieces aren't all there, it's not jiving.
Yeah.
So I have no faith in
Yeah.
San Francisco. They
What do you
they
think about them beating the Rams last week?
I just think the Rams came in too hot and heavy on themselves and didn't play the game they should have played.
Yeah.
And the coaching staff for San Francisco made the right adjustments because again these two guys know each other. They made the
Yeah.
right adjustments and they kept themselves in the game enough to win over. That game was more about stamina than it was about anything else. And San Francisco had the resiliency and the stamina that St. Louis at that time didn't because they played two other big games. Well, I wouldn't say they're big games, but they played two games hard for the
Yeah.
last 2 weeks. So they weren't expecting to play San Francisco, and they didn't have enough stamina for that. So, but again, that was a win for San Francisco, but I don't think they'll win uh, against Tampa Bay, and I feel like that's probably going to be like a 27-24 game. That's going to be close. You're right. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be
Yeah.
maybe the game of the
I
week.
said 31-24. You said 27-24.
Maybe the game of the week.
Yeah, it could be. We said it last week, and I think we nailed it. I thought that Seattle game was exciting, man. I mean, it was 38-35. I didn't think it would be that high scoring
You
with Tampa. You know,
tell me this, Robert. If that game was not in Seattle, would we have picked Tampa Bay to win?
I would have probably picked Tampa. If
Yeah,
that was a neutral site game, I would
yeah,
have picked Tampa
most
in
definitely.
that
Yeah, we
particular game.
we and guys, listen, we're not professionals, but we try to keep it pro here, and we make good calls sometimes. And that
We're pretty
that
freaking good.
yeah, but that was
Buffalo,
not a good call.
no, all state. Buffalo playing at Atlanta. I want to say this is a Monday night game, staying in the NFC South. Atlanta coming off of a bye week. Buffalo is susceptible to the run game. And that's something Buffalo's going to have to do by the trade deadline. They're going to have to acquire a defensive tackle. If I'm Buffalo, I call the Titans and say, I'll give you three picks in the first 90 picks here for Jeffrey Simmons. They need to
Ooh,
do something about their run defense. They got beat by the Patriots last week. Bijan Robertson, they're coming off of a bye week. They could keep this game close. They could very well keep this game close if Michael Penix, this is in Atlanta, if Michael Penix can convert third down. I think they keep it close enough to keep it interesting, about like last week against the Patriots. But the
ooh.
Buffalo is going to be ticked off. I think Allen will have a Herculean effort and ultimately Buffalo winning in 23-20. Going to be a tight game. That's why I gave it to you. What are your thoughts about Atlanta Buffalo coming
Yeah,
up on?
again, I feel like Buffalo and the Lions drinking the same Kool-Aid. Uh, I'm not a big fan of Buffalo, but what happened was the Patriots came in and thumped. They thumped on Buffalo, and they was expecting to get hit that hard. And the Patriots, when every time the Buffalo Bills had the ball, they got hit hard. So
Mm-hmm.
I like that about the Patriots. But going back to Buffalo, they lost the game. Allen is an MVP caliber QB now for the last three
Yeah.
seasons.
Oh, heck
He's
yeah.
he's not gonna let one slide. And he's gonna come back and play even better. And because he's playing against a defense that's not great, they're a good defense, but they're not great. In Atlanta, they're gonna win this game. The Buffalo's gonna come back.
What's
The
the
fans are
score
gonna
going
be
to be?
happy again. They're gonna cheer like they won the Super Bowl. They're gonna beat up on Atlanta. They're gonna beat them up, and there's gonna be 27-14.
Twenty-seven
Maybe,
fourteen Bills.
maybe,
Okay,
maybe.
there's two Monday night games here.
Yeah,
I don't know why they do that. It gets on my nerves, but they do it.
because
Chicago,
you can only watch one at a time. That's why.
yeah, it's annoying. I'll record them both. This is a game you beat me on last year. You took Washington. I took Chicago. Washington was coming, or Chicago was coming off a bye week. Chicago should have won that game if not for a fluke Hail Mary play and a bad adjustment by defensive back, this Stevenson kid. Really got a lot of flack for that because he was taunting before that. Karma came back on him. I really wanted to take the Bears in this game because I know they're coming off a bye week. But man, again with the injuries, Jalen Johnson's still out. They have other players questionable there on the secondary, and Jaden Daniels. Uh, man, I think he is much better now than he was this time last year. Even if they're not 100% at the wide receiver position, they had 27 points against the Chargers. It's a 4.5 point spread. I like Washington to win again to exploit that banged up defense by the Bears. Even though the Bears are coming off a bye week, only way Bears win this game is if they just have just a ton of rushing yards here and keep the ball kind of like I said with Atlanta, keep the ball out of Daniels' hands and convert and do not get off to a slow start. Ben Johnson, with all his tricks and stuff, will keep this game interesting, but there's just too many. They're not quite ready yet defensively to stop Washington. 27-19, the Commanders win again, and the Bears fans are really ticked off. What's your thoughts about that game? I think it'll be a great game, though.
I just think Washington at this point is got house money they're playing with. They found a running back that can help Daniels, uh, to be even better at the throwing game. A guy that can even
Mhm.
block for him a little bit, and I
Yeah.
yeah, and I like this, and I think that Washington's gonna flip it. They're gonna flip it. They're gonna be the ones controlling the game. They're gonna be the ones running the ball, and I think they're gonna win. I see this game being 28-10, man. I don't see the
You
other
think they're
team
going to
get.
blow the Bears out with the Bears offense like this?
Yeah, I think that the Bears they're not balanced on defense enough. So
Okay.
and what happens is on the third downs and shorts they have troubles converting those, and they get the kicking game involved. I feel like too soon. And then they start depending on the kicking game too much, and not going out there and being loosey goosey and trying to exploit what defense gives them. And I feel that because I think that because they're not in tune, Caleb, they're not allowing Caleb Williams to play like he should be playing.
Hmm.
And so for that, because they're still trying to figure it out. And Washington already has figured it out. They already know what they're gonna do. Um, that they this team defense is starting to wake up for Washington and allow them to stay in games. It's going to be hard for the Chicago Bears to do anything. So I feel like the Commanders are going to go in there, lay down 28 points, and Chicago's going to be trying to kick themselves into contention, but it's not going to work out. You have to be able to score 21 points plus in a game like this. And I just Caleb Williams is struggling right now, uh, and that's a new coordinator, and I just think there's just too much imbalance there. So.
Okay. We'll find out. It'll be a good one. I can't wait. Saturday, the Red River rivalry, Texas, Oklahoma, getting a lot of hype. Not quite the hype it would have had in the preseason, but I do like this John Matter guy. By the way, he will be back for Oklahoma. I just read before we went on the program, he's probable. He had the hand surgery. This guy was a Heisman candidate. This is his first game back. Remember, they beat Auburn a few weeks ago before he had that surgery. But he is back. Uh, Man, Arch Manning. Manning comes off a rough game at Florida. As I talked about earlier this week or last night's program, the Manning family as a whole, they're 2-7 against Florida. Peyton Manning's 0-4. Archie, the granddad's 0-2. And of course, Eli, Mr. Clutch here, is 2-0. I do think that the criticisms on Manning are a little too hard. Do I think he was a little overhyped? Is he overrated? Yes, I think all that stuff is true, but I got a sense that they're really going to be ticked off in this game. I think a little bit of the pressure's off of them because they've already lost that second game. This is only a 1.5 point spread. Vegas knows something. Everybody should be going with Oklahoma. I'm actually going to go with Texas in this game.
Ooh.
23-17. Texas gets the win, and there's a little bit of life there for Arch Manning in this Texas team. Could be wrong, though. This could go the other way. What's your thoughts about Texas, Oklahoma? Always a good game.
Yeah, always a good game, but I'm going the other way. I
I
don't
figured you
have.
would.
Yeah, I like the Arch Manning thing. I always thought was a stretch, not because because of the Sarkeesian playbook, the style that he plays, and the defense and all this and that, and it's just like I don't feel like it's been a good balance for them. Even last year when he was playing both quarterbacks, I was like, this isn't good. It's not going to help Arch. It was a bad. It's always been a bad situation. The only thing that's good situation for Arch is that NIL deal, and stay one more year, bro. Get the Heisman, you'll be all right. Um, but
Like
not
I
this
said
year.
from the very beginning, he should do 2 years, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. We talked about that, and
Yeah,
we probably gonna hit it too. We probably gonna hit on that because it's not looking too well for him this year
exactly. It's a
already.
good prediction. Yeah.
And that Oklahoma team, man, they buzzing, and a lot of
Yeah, they
people are
are.
not they're not talking about them the way they should be talking about them. You should be scared playing this Oklahoma team. I feel like they're actually playing to be in contention of a bowl game. They're not playing to be the number one team in the nation, but as they start winning, they're gonna start playing to be the best team in the nation, right? And that's scary. You don't want to play a team like that. So I think Oklahoma's gonna get this one, and I think you're gonna start hearing about people talk about their defense and about what they're doing down there in Oklahoma. So
I almost forgot the other teams that are undefeated. Indiana's only a 7.5 point underdog against Oregon. Uh, they haven't played Oregon in 20 years, and Oregon won that game by 6 points. Indiana did blow out Illinois. Did beat USC. That was a ranked team. Uh, they blew them out in fashion. But man, I tell you what, it's just a different animal up there in Eugene, Oregon. I tell you what, this would be the upset possibly of the year if Indiana went up to Eugene and beat uh, Oregon up there in Eugene, Oregon. I think they'll keep it interesting for about a half because their coach really gets these guys up. He gets everything out of them, but ultimately 40-30,
oh,
Oregon
oh.
wins. Oregon wins and probably covers that 7.5. What's your thoughts about Oregon, Indiana? Actually, a pretty good game. Both are undefeated. Both got a decent resume, especially Oregon.
Yeah, number five against number two or number one. Well, depending on what chart you're looking at.
I think
Listen,
9
uh,
Indiana is,
yeah,
but I can go look.
Indiana, they're having a good year. This is
Yeah,
gonna be
they got the playoff last year, but they got
yeah,
humiliated.
this is their Super Bowl right here. They got to win it. and then they can move on and can start being ultra competitive and staying in the talks and in the hunt. They
Yeah,
don't win this one, it's gonna hurt them deep, 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 deep. Oregon got, they got lucky in
seven and three. Indiana's number 7 in the country. Who would have thought that? This ain't basketball.
yeah, yeah. And so listen, I think this is gonna be one of those close games, man. I think it's gonna
You
be
do think the
24.
Indiana's going to show up too?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be 24-21. I think this is just a field goal game.
Wow. You think they're going
And
to give them an Ohio State type of pushback?
I just think that the offense is going to take a lot more time off the clock than the Indiana's offense is going to take a lot more clock than Oregon's going to be waiting for. So Oregon gets rolling. It takes them, but they take time off the clock, but it takes them like a half to get into the rhythm, and start running and doing what they do. And I'm not sure if Indiana is going to allow them to do that. They got a nice little defense over there. They got a good offense, and I think they're going to try to battle them, and they gonna put a fight. And I don't think they're gonna win, but I do think they're gonna keep it close, 24-21.
Yeah, yeah. Now this one won't count. Do you have any thoughts about Tennessee getting revenge on Arkansas? Jason Patterson thinks it'll be a really high scoring game. Arkansas may win, but he might be drinking some Arkansas Kool-Aid. I like Tennessee to win and probably get close, win by at least double digits. But who knows? Bobby
Yeah,
Petrino, this is his first game
but you
against Tennessee as the interim head coach. Remember, the former coach is back at Arkansas. Like I said,
right.
this won't count. We just had some extra time left.
Yeah, he's a Michael Myers of football, of college football, man.
Man,
He, no matter how many times you gotta get rid of him, he's still going to come back.
like Freddie
Um,
and Jason, ain't he?
this guy don't quit. But look, if he would have had that same resume, coming back and but doing positive things, it'd be a different story. This guy, he was part of the coaching staff there, and he's interim, and I'm not sure they're going to back him too much. He knows football. He'll give Tennessee a fight, but I don't feel like with the stuff that's going on in Arkansas, I don't think that they will have an opportunity for it to be enough to beat Tennessee. I think Tennessee is going to roll easy, easy
Like,
27-14. I don't I
wow.
don't I don't think Arkansas is gonna be much
I
of
think
a
it'll be like 45 to like maybe 31 because Tennessee's defense is a little shady.
yeah. I know they're shady,
Tennessee,
but
of course. I do think Tennessee will win, but that would be really disappointing if they lose again to Arkansas. Remember, they lost to Arkansas last year.
yeah, I know that's another reason why I think they'll win this year. I think they'll play a different
Yeah, I think
game.
they'll stomp them out. I do too. I
Yeah,
do too. I told Jason I think it's will go that way.
but
You got
who do you
anything
have for
else you need to plug? What's that?
who do you have for the Vanderbilt Alabama game?
They played last. Oh, they played last week, didn't they? We didn't even go back over it. You know, that was a great second half adjustment by Vanderbilt or by Alabama last week. Very, very impressed with that. Uh, Alabama plays Missouri this week. They could. I just. Do you still trust DeBoer? I still don't trust him as much because of what's happened in the past. I know statistically they got a good team, but I still think that they could possibly lose this game to Missouri. Do you have any analysis on that game? Last week, I almost forgot to get your thoughts about Alabama. At first, it looked like Alabama was on the ropes in the first half, and of course, Vanderbilt kind of fell apart and got figured out.
I just feel like Alabama. I remember I said this last week. Every time I root against them, they would they would win. And they because they beat Georgia, and now they beat Vandy. So I think they're doing a good little um they got a little run going, and they're still
They're in a
competitive. And
groove, yes.
yeah, and I like that. And so you got to be careful, man. You don't want to play this team. You do not want to play Alabama. And it's not even about trusting the coaches, it's about the players right now. The players are like, hey, put the game on the field. Let's play it. Let's play it out. And they're doing a good job. And you know, it's only going to take one team to knock them off that pedestal. So, and
Yeah.
it ain't next week. So,
That being said, Ty Simpson's having a great season.
hmm
Um, he may be a sleeper in the NFL draft, for all I know. Um, keep an eye out for Ty Simpson really having a good year. He's a lot more smoother than last year's starting quarterback. Anything else you need to plug, Chief?
No, I'm just gonna wrap up the. I'm gonna try to find time to wrap up this baseball season, and
Click,
just get,
click, 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 click.
yeah, just get it going, and listen, hockey started already. I'm excited about hockey. NBA will start soon.
Okay.
Like I'm already out of it for the NFL, for the New York, side of it, but there's always sports going on right now. The World Cup, people qualifying for the World Cup soon, so that's getting exciting. But yeah, sports keeps going on, like so.
I love October. It's a great month. I wish every month was October. The Mad New Yorker coming in hot, messing with the light, but he's coming. He's doing messing with his lights, but he's doing all right.
Yeah, sorry about the light, kiddos, and
That's funny. Have a round of applause on showing up every week, man.
thanks for having
Appreciate
me. You guys have a good weekend.
All right, buddy. You too. All right, everybody. I'll be back probably live Wednesday, but we'll show the replays and everything. I appreciate you all watching the program. If you like the show, please share the show. I'll be back next week, same time, same place, here on the Real Sports Scope. Good night, everybody.